All right, let's just jump right in. Most of us have this secret belief, this theory, that if we aren't incredibly hard on ourselves, we'll just stop. We'll get lazy. We're convinced that self-criticism is basically the engine that keeps us going. And that, right there, is the perfect metaphor for how we live. We have this whip, this inner voice that we think we need to keep ourselves moving forward, to stop us from getting complacent. It's become our go-to tool for motivation. But here's the big question, the one this is all about. What if that main tool we're using for motivation is the very thing that's breaking us? What if all this self-attack isn't just not helping? What if it's actually damaging our ability to ever get better? Okay, so first up, let's explore this really strange disconnect in our thinking, this glitch. We can see it so clearly when we look at the huge gap between how we treat other people and how we treat ourselves. This is where it gets really telling. Just imagine for a second, your friend calls you and they're totally devastated because they just got fired. You'd say something like, "Oh man, I am so sorry, that's awful. But listen, you're so talented, we are gonna figure this out." But when it happens to us, the scriptures completely flips. It's more like, "Well, of course this happened. You're a lazy failure. You probably had it coming." The difference is just staggering. And that's really the heart of the problem, isn't it? We just automatically default to this inner bully. We've been taught to believe that this harsh, critical voice is tough love, and that it's the only way to kick ourselves into gear. But as we're about to see, this is a huge cognitive glitch. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how our own brains work. So let's get into the science here, because that inner bully, it's not just putting you in a bad mood. It's actually triggering a primal biological response in your brain that stops you from improving. Okay, so check this out. When you start criticizing yourself, your brain literally doesn't know the difference between your own thoughts and, say, a tiger jumping out of the bushes. It's true. Your amygdala, which is like the brain's alarm system, sees that self-attack as a real threat, and it immediately flips on your fight or flight response. And the consequences of this are massive. Your body gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. But here's the real kicker. Your brain shuts down the smart part, the prefrontal cortex. That's the part you need for planning, for problem solving, for learning from your mistakes. So you literally cannot learn and grow when you are under attack from yourself. So if the whip is actually breaking us, what's the alternative? Well, thankfully, your brain has a whole other system built right in, one that's designed not for threats, but for safety and connection. It's called the caregiving system. Think of it as your brain's network for soothing and connection. When this system is active, we feel safe, we feel secure. It calms everything down. And it's in that calm state that real, lasting change can actually happen. So how do we turn it on? Well, one of the most powerful ways is through self-compassion, especially through really simple things like supportive physical touch. When we do that, our brain releases oxytocin. You might have heard it called the cuddle hormone. It's basically the chemical signal for "you're safe." And this is so crucial to understand. Self-compassion is not just some fluffy, nice-to-have idea. It's a biological tool. It is a physiological mute button that you can press anytime to turn off that stress response, calm your nervous system, and get your problem-solving brain back online. All right, so we've talked about the why. Now let's get into the how. I'm going to give you 3 super simple, really practical ways you can start fixing this kindness glitch and activating that caregiving system right now. We're going to cover 3 key tools: the friend filter, the idea of common humanity, and what we'll call the physical anchor. First up, the friend filter. The next time you mess up and that inner critic starts screaming, just pause. Ask yourself, what would I say to a friend who was going through this exact same thing? Then, and this is the important part, try saying those kind words out loud to yourself. I know, it might feel a little weird at first, but speaking them helps create new pathways in your brain that aren't the old, worn-out self-attack ones. Second, tap into common humanity. See, shame and that inner bully, they absolutely thrive on isolation, on that feeling that you're the only one in the world who could mess up this badly. The best way to fight that is to just remind yourself, this is a moment of suffering. This is part of being a human. I promise you, other people feel this way too. It just shatters that feeling of being alone. And finally, number 3, use a physical anchor. When that inner critic is just going off, simply place a hand over your heart or maybe on your cheek. It's such a simple move, but that physical action is a direct line to your nervous system. It communicates safety and helps trigger that oxytocin release, which physically calms your body down. So let's pull all this together because it's really time we reframe how we think about self-compassion. It's not an indulgence. It's not a prize you get for doing well. It's a high-performance strategy.
And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Being kind to yourself isn't the reward you get after you succeed. It's the actual fuel you need to learn, to grow, and to have the strength to get back up when you fail. It's an essential ingredient for getting better.
So I'll leave you with this question. Once you stop wasting all that energy fighting yourself and you start fueling yourself with kindness instead, what becomes possible? What will you do with all of that fuel?